Welcome to episode 19 of the 5-Minute Creative Podcast. I'm Patrick Smith, and it's September 15th, 2020. And what I want to talk about today was something I saw in the trades. It just the headline didn't catch my attention, but it was a line in the first paragraph that kind of caught my attention. And this is an article about Wix, and I'll probably just read a few things and comment on them. But the thing that popped out at me was Wix plans to become a top 100 global brand. And that kind of turned my head a little bit. And the reason is I just don't know how Wix plans on doing that. And I think it's great to have big goals and dream big. But in my mind, Wix, and comparing that to becoming like a BMW of the world, or a Facebook of the world, or a Coca-Cola of the world, I'm just having a little bit of a disconnect. And the reason is I don't know how they get there. Is their vision to have every person or every other person on the planet, or at least a significant number of them, to sign up for this service and create their own personal website? Is that the idea? Or is it something else? And so maybe I'm missing something. And what I will be doing moving forward is maybe doing a little bit more research on Wix and also paying a little bit more attention to them, because I think that this is a fascinating idea for them to try to reach this goal. And beyond that, it's such a fragmented space. You have everything from the Squarespaces of the world that you're competing against, which I actually think Squarespace is a nicer experience. I don't know enough about the platforms and how they're built and what their business models are and things along those lines to really comment on who's got a better business going right now. But you're also competing against the Spotify's, the Shopify's of the world, and the Google or the GoDaddies of the world with their site building tools. So it's such a fragmented market. And I guess you could look back at 15, 20 years ago or so and say that the social media landscape was very fragmented too. And that was true, and Facebook and Twitter really emerged as two of the two giants. But and we're kind of the space now too with these DIY tools. So I don't know how Wix gets there, but we'll see how they attempt to get there. But one thing they're not going to be doing, and that's the other part of this article, is using television, at least at the moment. It's not part of their strategy to grow. And the thing I find funny about that is they've already run Super Bowl spots, so those tend to raise awareness pretty well because there's so much PR around them. I'm sure you've probably seen a Super Bowl ad or two in years gone by, and then obviously that they tends to put you in a different category, or if you will, of business. So anyway, they were founded in 2006, and they ran their first Super Bowl spot in 2015, which is pretty amazing. In under a decade, you've gone from an idea to Super Bowl advertising, which just blows my mind. But they dropped the Super Bowl ads in 2017. So, that was a few years ago, and they've probably moved on, and any impact those would have had have long gone. But they definitely dialed up their digital spend a couple of years ago, because it seemed like every time I watched anything on YouTube, I was getting a Wix ad, and it became very annoying, actually. But that's their plan, is to just go digital. And the other piece of this, which I thought was interesting, and I'm going to read the headline really quick because there was just a nice build on an idea here. The headline for the article is "How Wix Uses Time to Return on Investment to Guide Its Marketing." And what I liked about this line, the time to return on investment, we talk about ROI a lot, but we don't talk about the time piece enough. At least I don't think we do. And for Wix, they referenced in the article that for every marketing dollar they spend, they get it back in 7 to 9 months, which seems pretty fast or a pretty good rate. I'm not really sure how fast consumer time to ROI would be. I know for B2B, it can be much longer. It could be a year, 2 years sometimes, depending on the complexity of a buy and the scale of it. But that's 7 to 9 months seems like a really nice window. So in any event, there was one other piece that I was just going to read really quick that had to do with the percentage of brand building versus other sales activation. And I'm just going to read this because we're almost out of time. But the prevailing wisdom in the marketing industry, largely driven by the seminal 2013 research paper, The Long and Short of It, by British practitioners Les Binet and Peter Field, is that, on average, brands should devote 60% of their budget to brand building and 40% on shorter-term activation efforts. This split will differ by industry and by individual company. B2Bs tend to be closer to 50-50 or even 40-60, 40 on the brand, 60 the other way. But I was so glad to see this in the article, Nicole, because there's so many conversations around how much should you actually budget for brand building, and then even defining what brand building is with clients can be a really interesting conversation too. So I'm excited I saw this. I wanted to share this because I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on this paper, dig that up, and hopefully there's some more interesting nuggets in that paper that will lend itself to building budgets for clients in the future. So that's going to be all for this episode. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back soon.